Excuse me, sir. Because of COVID, I gotta check your temperature here. Gosh, these things never work. Hey, fine. So alongside of the DJI FPV drone, DJI released this product, which is the Motion Controller, this little gun-looking thing that has a few buttons on it and supposedly allows you to be able to control this entire drone one-handed just from this thing. It uses a gyro inside to kind of help you tilt and control the drone. You twist and trigger and all sorts of stuff. And I've read just enough instructions to know how to get it to bind and be connected to the drone. And I know like what the buttons are supposed to do, but I haven't actually tried flying it. And because I know you guys are inevitably gonna ask, how durable is the drone? It's plastic, it's gonna break. Instead of flying in that open field over there, we've decided to fly in these trees right here. If this isn't durability testing, I don't know what is. So I'm gonna take this up with the motion controller for the first time, and as soon as we're done with that, then I'll try to give you the tutorial on how this thing is or isn't or is supposed to be working. Hopefully we won't have broken this. We actually have a second one, just in case, but that's not the plan. So DJI sent us this FPV drone and the motion controller. They did not pay us for anything. They did send the product for free. So all of our opinions and what we're saying are based on that level of engagement. We're allowed to say whatever we want, and we're just here to have fun. Keep that far away from us because we don't know what's about to happen. And I'm gonna stand in front of this camera to be able to use the smart controller, and you'll be able to see what my hands are doing. So you guys can't see it, but on the OSD, I can actually see, like if I hold it right here, this is level. And if I start to turn this, it shows me that the stick is going one way or the other, and they're like up, down. That's really cool. Okay, so we're gonna come back to FPV in a sec. So I'm gonna try this line of sight first. Okay, so my understanding is that I double tap the red button and it will arm the props and potentially take off. Double tap. So you single tap the lock button, it'll take off. Hold it down. Okay, we're in the air. What? Okay, so all I'm doing, it's twisting side to side. So like, what happens if I point it all the way back at myself? Oh geez, I did like that. Okay, wait, so how do I get it? Do I have to like turn my whole body? Oh, that's annoying. So now if I push the trigger, it's supposed to accelerate. Okay, so like the trigger is like basically pitch forward. So if I push the trigger and turn, I can't get it to turn around. I gotta like hold the controller this way. It's probably not really designed for line of sight flying. That's so cool. Honestly, this is like super bizarre to do it like this. Okay, so now I'm gonna give it a little throttle and I'm gonna pitch it up, pitch the controller up, it goes up. Give it a little throttle, push the controller down and it goes down. And then I'm gonna come back to us, so I'm gonna point it back at us. Honestly, like that, it feels pretty comfortable. I mean, it's weird because I'm trying to do this line of sight. I probably need to be like turning around with goggles. Oh, you can see here, I'll bring it over a little bit. Watch the gimbal. What in the world? Okay, let's try this FPV because I feel like I'm gonna break something if I keep going line of sight. Problem is I need to be able to like spin around. I've got myself tethered right here. I forgot that I'm holding this thing. Oh, there's like a little target too. I'm even less competent than I thought I was. Okay, here we go. But like I can't get it to come back to me because I can't turn around, barely. All right, trying to be smooth here. Look at me go. So what I want to happen is as I turn this, it increases the amount of yaw rate. Instead, it's gotta be like, it's like 1-to-1 with where it's pointing. Since I recorded this, I had a chance to talk to Donovan Davis, who is the actual expert on how everything in this thing is supposed to work. And I totally misunderstood how yaw works, so I'm gonna demonstrate it to you really quick here in the garage. Do not try this at home. I'm a professional. Okay, so rather than turning all the way around like I was doing, all you're supposed to do is tilt this to the left or right. So if I tilt it to the left, the whole thing moves to the left. If I tilt it to the right, it moves to the right. I was trying to move my whole body around, which works, but the intended use is actually to just do this. So, I'm dumb. But we gotta figure it out, and it works. Yeah, way easier to fly when you know how to do it. Okay, we're going into the trees. I feel like a dweeb. even more than I usually do flying a drone. It feels like I'm in VR a little bit because it is really responsive, especially like the ability to like look up and down is pretty cool. Let me get off of the tripod and try flying it that way. So to land, I'm gonna hold down the red button and hopefully it will put itself on the ground and Winston won't have to run. I was tethered to the tripod a minute ago, but it made it so like I had to like point this back at myself to like even turn it around. So now I should be able to actually like spin around in a circle to get the drone to fly properly. So let's try this again and look even weirder than we usually do as FPV enthusiasts. Do I hold it out like this, like I'm holding somebody at gunpoint? Or do I like play it tight? Or should I do like get the, I'm sure DJI loves it that we're pretending it's a gun. Okay, here we go. And holding to take off. Oh gosh. Okay, I do feel a lot more in control than I did a second ago. Oh gosh, I do not like having to turn around. Like, I'm gonna get motion sickness. Let's give ourselves some airspace. Holy cow. Oh dude, looking down is cool. Like, or being able to look down. Like, I could just kind of peek down, looking at this flooded river. Okay, we're gonna climb up over this tree, fly out over the river, because we make wise choices here. Oh, there's power lines, good to know. You can see them in crystal clear HD. Oh look, we're doing power line inspections on the flooded river. Contributing to society. Sorta. This is a bad idea. Like, honestly, in terms of like, just like chill flying, it's pretty nice. How much height is there between the power lines and the water? So I'm under it. Oh gosh, oh gosh. We're doing it. We're doing it, boys. Yeah. This is pretty great, honestly. Like, I'm having a lot of fun. I wouldn't, obviously, like, this is not gonna be better than me FPV on the sticks, but like, in terms of just a novel experience flying, like, this is pretty solid. Let's see if we can go over here, get down low. Okay, let's try the brakes before we run out of battery here. Go this way a little bit, and this way. And I'm gonna hit the brakes in 3, 2, 1. Whoa! Okay, so we need to land, so I'm gonna go ahead and land it right here. What? Where am I even looking? Like, I took my goggles off, expected to be looking straight at you. And I was like looking over here. What in the world? All right, your turn. So let's talk about the controls and the buttons of the motion controller. So first and foremost, you got the trigger, pretty obvious what's going on there. It is the accelerator. So you don't think about it like throttle, you think about it like acceleration. And where you're pointing is where you're accelerating to. So like if you go straight forward and hold the accelerator, it's gonna go fly forward, straight and level. If you point down and hold the trigger, it's gonna go down. If you point up and hold the trigger, it's gonna go up. And then yaw left, yaw right is kind of a coordinated roll, yaw, turn. On the side, you got the power button, double tap, standard DJI thing. And on the left side, you've got a tilt control, which allows you to change like what the default tilt is that the drone's looking at. I don't think that they're using this. Eventually, they've promised a few different modes for it that we'll see eventually. There's a stop, start, record button that that will tell the drone to start recording a new clip or whatever. Then you have the lock button, which is kind of a weird name for the button, but basically what it does is you use it to start and stop the motors, and then you also use it to cue takeoff and landing. So you double tap the button to start the motors, and then you hold it down for the drone to take off and get into position hold mode. And as soon as it gets into that level mode, it'll see that your controller is pointed straight and level, and then you pull the trigger or do any kind of motion that you want to do. Below that is a mode button. From what I can see, the only modes that are available are like normal DJI mode. Like you can think of this more like a Mavic than like an FPV drone at that point, and sport mode, which I think is basically just the standard mode plus maybe a little bit of speed and a little bit less ability to sense and avoid. And then finally, you've got a brake button. If you just push that button at any point in flight, the drone will just immediately, and if you hold it down, it will go into return to home. Yeah.
So double tap the red. Ah! Dude, it went right at you. So this is, like you said, disorienting like VR, where you feel like you're gonna get motion sick. Because I'm basically like, my head, dude, this is actually pretty spot on. I feel like you turn the drone with your head as long as you hold it with it. Okay, this isn't bad. I can pick this up. I can only imagine what this looks like to them. Yeah, this basically makes it feel like you're in VR. That's nuts. Little gusto. Oh wow, it moves. All right, so initial impressions, this is very much so like my VR experience I've had. And it just, yeah, it definitely adds another level to flying. It's way more immersive in a way too. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of speed in here, and then I wanna try this brake out. All right, hitting the brake in 3, 2, 1. And it just stays there until you hit it again. Dude, this is an experience like I've never had before flying something. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm turning my body for the big movements and then fine tuning with the wrist. This is pretty cool, man. It definitely adds a whole other level to it. I feel like I'm wandering around in a real life VR sim. This thing's flying really well. It's windy out and it's not consistent. It's handling it really well. But yeah, I'm moving my body and fine tuning with the wrist. All right, I guess just to land this thing. Okay, that's pretty cool, man. I was a little bit worried it'd be gimmicky in a way, but that's kind of fun. I can't lie. That and just, I don't know. I feel like I'm in VR just cruising around the park. That's cool. I think the gimbal adds to it looking as you move, just kind of give you that immersive feeling. But literally, as I'm turning, the drone is responsive enough that it keeps you locked in. Like that's pretty cool.
So I'm gonna talk to you with my hands in my pockets because it's pretty cold out here today. Actually, it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so breezy. But so let's talk about like what we think the purpose is for the motion controller. Like in the documentation that they send, like it's basically it's supposed to be kind of like a more intuitive way of getting into operating a drone from first person view. And I think that the idea is that like back with, when you first got into Mario Kart, you would, have your controller, but you'd also kind of like twist it and turn it, like, cause you wanted that to like help. And so like, I guess the idea is that by having the controller in your hands and having something that you can kind of do with your body, that helps people kind of feel like they're more immersed, like they're part of it. I think for Winston and I, we're already pretty competent drone operators and we have a way that we like to use them, and that's not like this, but we both enjoyed it for what it was, right? It's a very different experience. And like Winston was saying, it's a lot like VR. It's this experience where you are immersed. You're kind of interacting with the world around you with your hand instead of just like through these tiny little sticks. And between that and like the ability to fly the drone slowly and use it to kind of like do inspections and kind of like stuff like that, I think there's some opportunity here for people that just wanted something new or some kind of different experience. If you're an FPV enthusiast, it's not going to be something that's going to, enhance your performance on the racetrack or get you a new freestyle pack, but it is a different thing. It's just something fun, something unique that I'm glad to have gotten the chance to play with. It's surprisingly impressive. And one other thought that I had for the motion controller is that you can operate it with one hand and you can do it with either hand. And so if somebody is, for example, missing a limb or missing an arm or something like that, they're able to still operate a drone relatively confidently. I mean, we were flying this thing through the woods here without any problem whatsoever. We didn't even crash it once, which I know is a big disappointment for you guys. But for people that are less abled, like this is a big opportunity. One thing to note, especially for people coming from traditional FPV flying, is that you cannot go backwards or go straight down in a dive. You always have to be moving forwards or like slightly forwards. So just something to think about when you're operating it. Like I flew up against one of these trees and I was trying to like inspect it and look it, but I had to yaw away and then move forward. I couldn't just back away from the tree. Because I think that you should probably have both of these controllers if you're gonna do it, I'd say definitely get the standard controller first and then get the motion controller. What I wasn't sure is if I can have both bound to the drone at the same time. I'm not saying both on and connected to the drone, but both bound to the drone. So right now the motion controller is bound to the drone. You can see that it's bound because there's 4 green lights there. So I'm gonna turn this off, and now I'm gonna turn on the other controller and see if it stays bound, even though it's got 2 different controllers that it could be used with. Yep, so now you got 4 lights there. Drone is connected. So yeah, it's cool that you can have both controllers bound to the same drone and you can use whichever one you decide in the moment that you're flying. Okay, so one of the advertised features of this is that it goes 10 kilometers, and I don't believe it because there's no like antennas or anything. So we found a bunch of private space. These are like soccer fields for miles. And we're gonna just fly it out and see if we can get anywhere close to that. Actually, we're not even gonna try. If I can get a mile out of this thing, I'll be impressed. So that's what we're going for. Hopefully we're not going long enough that we're gonna need battery. Woohoo! See you, buddy. We're getting bad video signal because it's not, the antennas are not really pointed the right way. It's kind of a comfy way to fly, not gonna lie to you. So we are gonna go over a road, but it's like on this property, so we don't need to worry about that there's gonna be like a lot of people there. But yeah, just cruising along. I always forget that as I move around, this thing gets a little bit wonky. 100 meters, let's descend a little bit. RC link looks really good still. I wish there was a way to like reset, so like I could make straight forward again. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah, like I'm getting a little bit of drift on it, honestly. Like I'm constantly moving my hand further and further left. But I've still got rock solid video. I'll tell you what, like full bars. It doesn't say, so like with the old air unit, it would say that it was like what the megabits was and stuff like that. This does not do that. 80% battery life, and we are out 1,500 meters. I'm gonna just go to that water tower and turn around there because that's plenty distance. I just had my first little hiccup on video, but it's like, it wasn't bad, it was just a little bit. Super rock solid connection with the controller. Like I'm kind of just like giving a little bit of a jiggle, a yaw jiggle. Like it's instant response, like as if it was right here next to us. I'm now 2,300 meters away, so that's like 1.5 miles. Okay, so I'm at my furthest point. I'm just letting off. I'm gonna look down. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So I'm like freaking way out there, you can see, and I'm just like using the motion controller to just look around at the spot. It's just weird that it's so responsive. Like I feel like like we were saying before, it's like VR. I'm just kind of peeking around, no big deal. All right, now coming back towards us, if I can get it to point that way. Oh, it's definitely faster.
What's your battery life?
It's good. I've got 4 minutes left. I'm not panicking. Are you panicking?
No.
I think we're good. Now it's back up to 3. Okay, so, all right. So, consider me impressed, considering like, I'm not even pointing the controller in the right direction. I've got my body directly between the controller and the drone. We're not doing anything special, and we still have good RC link. So there's got to be some kind of tie-in with the freaking goggles or something, to where it's like communicating to the goggles and then back to the drone. I don't know, this is dang impressive. It's kind of a fun way to fly long range. It's a lot more relaxed than like being on the sticks. Yeah, we are hauling, dude. This is into the wind, I believe. Well, that's pretty insane. This little thing just went almost 2 miles that way. Just with me not even like thinking about where the antennas were. Like at one point I had it like held over here behind me and like all that stuff, and I still was able to go like a solid 1.5 miles with a visual observer. But that's insanity. All right, let's get back in the car. It's too cold. To kind of sum up all of our different thoughts, it's a really fun experience. It's something very, very different. I would not say it should ever be someone's primary way of operating a drone, but if you wanted to, give it to a friend or a family or something like that, I think anybody could pick this up and give it a go and be able to operate the drone from the ground up. And I think that that's what the purpose is of this. So thanks for checking out this little quick overview of the DJI Motion Controller. I hope you kind of enjoyed smiling along with me and Winston as we got to try this for the first time. Like legitimately, we didn't even try it off camera because we wanted to see what that experience would be like. If you're interested in purchasing the DJI Smart Controller or the DJI FPV drone or any of this stuff that we've got here, we ask that you use the affiliate links because it helps support the channel. It gives us the opportunity to come out here and make more videos like this. And if you're not interested in purchasing them, but you still want to support, please join on Patreon or in YouTube membership. It's a huge help. Thank you so much. Stay flying.